what's up? It's PDX Guitar Freak here, and in this video I'm going to show you how to play the guitar solo from Dio's Holy Diver. Now for this solo, you want to keep your guitar in standard tuning. The reason I'm calling that out is because I've seen a lot of tabs out there that say you want to tune your guitar down 1/2 step. You don't do that for the song. Keep it in standard tuning. Alright, let's jump on into it. First section goes like this. Alright, slowly. And I'm intentionally doing that because it sounds like that's what Vivian Campbell's doing in the solos. He's kind of sliding his fingers up the strings. If you haven't watched my lessons before, you'll see that I try to point out all of the little inflections and all of the little movements that are going on, not just the notes of the solo. All right, let's move to the next part. The next part. Slowly. Should be pretty self-explanatory or pretty easy to follow with the tabs. Just remember you're doing like a bar on the D and the G strings, 8, 7, 5, and then 5 again. Add some vibrato, and then... Alright, let's move to the next part. The next part. Alright, slowly. Once again there, we're doing some barring across the D and G strings in that movement. And sometimes in the tabs, when you're at that 8th fret bar, some people will actually bar the D, G, and B strings, like before. I don't hear that B string in there. If it is, it's somewhat muted or somewhat silenced. You can do it either way. The next part. All right, slowly. A couple things I want to call out there. When you see where I tab it down here, where we do that bend on the 8th fret of the B, I had a hard time tabbing that. I wasn't sure if I was going to make it look like a bunch of bends or just a bend and then a wide vibrato. So that's what I did. I did the latter. Okay. And then finally, those last 2 pinch harmonic notes. I've seen that tabbed so many different ways, man. One of the most common ways is actually to do it at the 8th fret. Do pinch harmonics at the 8th fret of the G, like. It's wrong. It's wrong. No matter where you do it at that 8th fret, trying to find the right pinch harmonic spot to get the right tone, it doesn't work. I actually watched several videos of Vivian Campbell playing this solo. Now these were his more recent attempts at the solo, not from the early days, but each time he did the pinch harmonic at the 10th fret of the G string, all right? And I found that with this Les Paul, for example, the pinch happens right about at the edge of the pickup. You want to experiment, it's going to be somewhere in that region, but depending on the type of guitar you have, if it's 24 frets, etc., or a different guitar, you might have to do it in a different spot. If all else fails, I'd say come up here to the 17th fret of the G string, that C note, and do it there. Okay? Sounds pretty close. I've seen people, do a bend. I've seen people do it or do it down here at the 5th fret of the G, which actually works, I think, pretty well too. I really think if you take any of those approaches, you're going to sound fine. Just don't do it at the 8th fret of the G. Ignore all those shitty tabs out there. All right, let's move to the next part. Then he goes. Slowly. All right. Don't forget the rake at the beginning till you get to before the bend. Right? You want to do that rake at the beginning. The rest is pretty easy. Just remember at the end to slow down a little bit. Okay? See how it slows down a little bit at the very end? All right, let's move to the next part. The next part. Slowly. My advice for that part, really you want to, it's one of those, it's like a rapid fire just release of notes. I really feel like when Vivian Campbell was recording this solo, he did a lot, a lot of it was ad-lib, okay? And there's another part, a little burst of notes, that's a better way to call it, a little burst of notes. There's another one later where it also feels like he's just kind of letting it out, right? So if you were to see him play it live now, he might not go, he might, it's just a burst of notes, all right? But I've seen this tabbed many different ways. But what I did is, when I relearned the original solo, I made sure to listen to the original guitar track slowed down and really try to pick out all the little notes. This one was a little bit challenging to hear some of it because of the tone that Vivian Campbell was using. It's interesting because the rhythm guitar seems to have a little more bite than the lead guitar at certain points, so it's not as prominent in the mix, if that makes sense. But this is what I was able to pick out. All right, and then when he does that 17th fret bend, it's a two-step bend. It's like going from here to here. All right, let's move to the next part. The next part is all palm muted. It goes like this. Okay? Well, it's all palm muted until you get to that 10th fret G note at the very end. But here it is slowly. All right? Not sure what to explain there, but keep in mind that that one, he's playing a little bit behind the beat there, so it sounds like the timing, it's a little funky, feels a little bit weird. It doesn't sound funky when you're listening to it, but playing it, it's going to feel a little bit funky the first time. All right, let's move to the next part. Slowly. Now, throughout that one, you can see that I'm tabbing out that it's all, pinch harmonics. And that's not really possible. You're doing up and down strokes. My point here is try to throw in pinch harmonics as much as possible. You're going to want to get yourself in, pinch harmonic position and while you're picking, so that anytime you do a downstroke, there's going to be a pinch harmonic. So just try to keep that in mind when you're playing that. You're not really doing pinch harmonics on everything. You're just keeping it in that pinch harmonic position so they keep popping out whenever possible, if that makes sense. And then I also want to call out that where you see that 7th fret slide up to the 8th string, it's one quick movement, okay? It's not, you don't go, you go, okay? Hope that makes sense. One quick movement on that 7 to 8 slide. The next section. Slowly. Okay, just like the prior section, lots of artificial harmonics or pinch harmonics. And again, even though I've tabbed it out to show that you're always doing pinch harmonics, my point is keep your finger in pinch harmonic position. If you don't know how to do a pinch harmonic, I do have a lesson on YouTube on how to do that. Hopefully you know that if you're tackling this solo. But again, you're going to keep your finger, your pick and thumb in that pinch harmonic position. So anytime you're doing a downstroke, pinch harmonics are coming out. Okay? And I think the one part there that's probably the most tricky is after he goes, and he does the little burst. Okay? Again, that's just kind of pouring out of him. I honestly think that if you're playing that live, and you do something else like anything similar, people are not going to notice. Again, Vivian's just doing a little burst of notes there, and when he plays it live, it always sounds a little bit different. So keep that in mind. The last part. Slowly. So that one, the tabs should be pretty easy to follow. You see where I'm doing the grouping of 4 notes, like before going into those little groups of 4. Oftentimes I see people do triplets instead, like. But again, when I slow down the original track and listen to it very carefully, it's groups of 4 mixed in there. And then finally at the very end, when he does that, it's a quick movement. You don't want to do it slow, you want to do it quick. In fact, I think a lot of times people miss that and they just go. Alright, that was my lesson on how to play the guitar solo from Dio's Holy Diver. I hope you found it helpful and informative. Don't forget to leave a comment, like, thumbs up, subscribe, all that stuff. If you have questions, let me know and I'll answer them as time allows. Until next time, rock on.